the United Nations Security Council once again became the center of international attention as the debate over Iran's nuclear program culminated in a high-stakes vote. The chamber, filled with tension, reflected the widening divisions between global powers on how best to address Tehran's controversial nuclear activities. The issue has been simmering for months, with Paris, London and Berlin pressing for stronger commitments from Iran, while other powers urge patience and diplomacy. After weeks of consultations, the Council finally put the draft resolution to a vote. The resolution sought to reimpose sanctions on Tehran, a move intended to pressure Iran into returning to negotiations and halting any suspected nuclear escalation. For its supporters, the measure was necessary to uphold international security. For its opponents, it represented a step backward, undermining fragile diplomatic channels. The draft carried a clear warning: if Iran agreed to new commitments by the end of the following week, the sanctions could be reversed. This was, in theory, not a permanent punishment, but a temporary measure designed to push Tehran toward compliance. Still, the political weight of the vote made it clear that the world was far from consensus. With cameras rolling and delegates watching closely, Sang-Jin Kim, the Deputy Ambassador to the United Nations in South Korea and current President of the Security Council, announced the result. Sang-Jin Kim said, "The result of the voting is as follows: 4 votes in favour, 9 votes against, 2 abstentions. The draft resolution has not been adopted, having failed to obtain the required number of votes." His words sent a wave of reaction across the chamber. For some, it was a victory of diplomacy over confrontation. For others, it was a missed opportunity to show firmness toward Iran. Diplomats from the 3 European powers, France, the UK and Germany, expressed disappointment. They had hoped to send a united message to Tehran that the international community would not accept stalling or vague promises. Their argument was that Iran had repeatedly delayed or diluted its commitments, making stronger action essential. By contrast, Russia and China, joined by several non-permanent members, pushed back strongly. They warned that sanctions would only deepen mistrust and close the door to dialogue. For them, isolating Tehran risked further destabilizing the Middle East at a moment when the region is already fraught with conflicts. The United States, while cautious in its language, emphasized that the possibility of an agreement still existed. American diplomats noted that the sanctions mechanism was deliberately reversible. If Iran engaged constructively within the next week, the Council could revisit the decision and ease the pressure. Iran, unsurprisingly, condemned the push for sanctions. Officials in Tehran argued that their nuclear program is peaceful and within the framework of international law. They accused Western powers of using the nuclear issue as a political tool rather than engaging in genuine diplomacy. Iranian representatives insisted that they remain open to talks, but only if the West shows respect for Iranian sovereignty. They warned that new sanctions would backfire, undermining trust and pushing Iran further away from compromise. The vote underscored the fractured state of international consensus on Iran. The split between Western allies and powers such as Russia and China revealed deeper geopolitical rivalries at play. For many observers, the debate was not only about Iran's nuclear program, but also about influence, alliances, and the shape of the international order. European diplomats privately admitted their frustration. For them, the failure of the resolution signalled a lack of collective resolve, potentially emboldening Tehran. But other Council members countered that sanctions without unanimous support would be ineffective and even counterproductive. The timeline is now razor thin. With only a week before the deadline, attention shifts to whether Iran will offer any meaningful concessions. Western capitals will press Tehran to show flexibility, while Russia and China are likely to encourage patience and continued dialogue. For the UN, the challenge is managing credibility. The Security Council's inability to pass the resolution highlights its divisions, raising questions about its effectiveness in addressing one of the most pressing security concerns of the decade. The Middle East, already on edge due to multiple crises, watches closely. Regional powers such as Israel and Saudi Arabia have consistently warned against any leniency toward Iran, viewing its nuclear program as a direct threat. A failure to rein in Tehran could escalate tensions, they argue, leading to further instability. At the same time, others stress that diplomacy remains the only realistic path forward. Military confrontation, they warn, would have devastating consequences for the region and beyond. As the Security Council adjourned, the atmosphere remained tense but unresolved. The failed resolution highlighted not only the difficulty of addressing Iran's nuclear ambitions, but also the broader struggle of the international community to act in unison. Sang Jin Kim's announcement captured that moment of deadlock, firm, procedural, but heavy with consequence. His words will likely echo over the coming week as governments race to secure a last-minute deal.
The result of the voting is as follows: 4 votes in favor, 9 votes against, 2 abstentions. The draft resolution has not been adopted, having failed to obtain the required number of votes.